Welcome to Econ 102, where economist Noah Smith and I make sense of what's happening in the news, technology, business, and beyond through the lens of economics. Let's jump right in.
You talk a lot about how like-minded countries need to come together to combat China, specifically focusing on other countries in Asia. At the same time, certain key East Asian relations, notably Japan and Korea, continue to face difficult historical hurdles in normalizing. What's the best way forward to bring these countries together? Is it the business community, U.S. intervention? Will it occur naturally due to China's existential threat? Is it the older generation dying out? What needs to happen?
All right. So the answer is that it's the older generation dying out, and it's already happened. So in polls, Japanese opinions of Korea continue to just creep steadily up, and Korean opinions of Japan continue to creep steadily up. Why? Generational turnover. Young Japanese people love Korean stuff, right? Japan was very racist toward Korea in the old days, and that dates to colonial days, right? It was like, oh, you are a colonial subject, kind of like British racism toward Irish people. It's very similar, right? It's like, oh, you are a colonial subject, you suck. It's like there was this old saying in Japan, like, even a moron or a Korean could do that. Okay, that's done. That's over. Samsung killed that. No, but also like young Japanese people don't say that shit. They don't even know that shit, except for like a few Nazis on Japanese 4chan, which is Nichan. It's the Japanese Nazi website's owned by Americans, and the American Nazi website's owned by Japanese people, and that's very weird. But anyway, but the point is that young Japanese people don't give a shit. They like Korea. They're like, yeah, Korea, that's awesome. Like I have young Japanese friends who just go to Korea all the time for vacation. And, they're like, like they all just want to date Koreans. I mean, I guess everybody does now, but like they all just want to date Koreans. Like, ooh, Korean boy, sexy. Ooh, Korean girl, sexy. And then like, but Koreans just are watching a bunch of anime and thinking like, oh, Japan's so cute. Yeah, we know they colonized our country far in the past, but that's fine. I love Tokyo. I love the cool restaurants and shops in Tokyo. It's so beautiful. I'm gonna go hang out, And so like, Korean people love Japan, and Japanese people love Korea. Young people, like anyone under the age of 40, right? It's the island at the top. The diplomacy has been very good. They papered over the comfort women thing, and they just totally dropped the territorial dispute over the Dokdo Islands, right? Korea owns like a couple little insignificant islands that Japan claims, but then they sort of papered over that, and there were these like old, really elderly Japanese nationalistic guys who'd sail boats out there and be like, "It's Takeshima Islands, motherfucker!" Ah! And then like no, and then the government was like, "Okay, shut up. You're hurting international diplomacy. Shut the fuck up." And so that's what they did. I'm embellishing, like, but they did suppress that. And so the government at the top, the threat of China has forced the Korean and Japanese governments to paper over all these historical problems. Meanwhile, the young people just do not give a shit, and generational turnover is solving that problem slowly, even as the threat of China has caused the leadership to not exacerbate this problem. So it's like night and day. 10 years ago, there were like these racist. Oh, so there was this racist group in Japan called the Zaitokukai who was active about 10 years ago. They were just like marching in the streets of Shinokubo, which is like this like ethnically Korean neighborhood in Tokyo, with signs. American racists will have signs that say, "You will not replace us," or other like sort of. I don't even know what you're talking about, like replace you. But then they would just have signs that say, "Kill Koreans, Koreans die," and and they would march through ethnically Korean neighborhoods in Tokyo and whatever. And then everybody hated those guys. The mayor of Osaka, who was a right winger himself, offered to have a debate with the head of the racist group, and they had this televised debate, which you can still watch, where the mayor of Osaka, who he was like working class guy, he came from like this group of people called the Budakumin, which is sort of like this lower caste that they tried. Anyway, it's he was from very working class background, Hashimoto, and then he got in the debate room with this guy Sakurai, the racist guy, and the guy just was like provoking him and like insulting him and stuff. And he's just like, okay, we're doing this. And he gets up out of his seat and like walks over to the guy, and his like handlers have to like hold him back. He's like about to like beat up the guy. And so after that, Shinzo Abe was still, prime minister at the time. He's like, okay, you know what? We've had it with these racist guys. You're hurting international relations. And he just threw the guy in jail. They just took the head of the racist thing, because in Japan, rule of law is a little bit weaker in Japan, whereas if you piss off the people in charge, you still just go to jail for that. Like, they will find a thing that you did wrong. Oh, you cheated on your taxes by 5 yen. Oh, well, you're in jail now. And then like, first we're going to throw you for 23 days in a cell and have the police like rough you up a little bit. And then you're in jail. And like, you still want to be a racist activist? How about now? And so then so they did that. And then that guy's life was totally ruined, as he deserved to have his life ruined. He's a dick. So in America, like some punk kid, if you're a Nazi, some punk kid will come up and punch you on the street. In Japan, the government will come up and punch you on the street. And so they did that. And then like that whole organization just disappeared. I went to the counter protest and just watched, I watched sort of like progressives and Korean immigrants in Tokyo, like fight the Zaitoku Kai in like 2014. I saw like a street fight. It wasn't as, it wasn't like they didn't bring out like hammers and shit. Like they like shoved each other and, shoved each other in the street, and that was it. And the police stepped in. But then that's not happening now. Like, that's all done. There was this, I think a lot of people remember this kind of wave of anti-Korean and anti-Japanese sentiment from the early 2010s that's now effectively gone. And all I hear Japanese people talk about is like how awesome Korea is. And you see a lot of cooperation at the government level too. So this is a problem that's basically been fixed. Japan is now taking large amounts of immigration. They're going to have problems just like the Europeans. I think it remains to be seen whether that problem will come from the small amount of Muslim immigration Japan is getting, or from the very large amount of Southeast Asian immigration they're getting. Japanese people are complaining to me that so there's tons of immigrants coming from Vietnam to Japan. Like, Japan is basically just draining Vietnam of people. It's great. I love it. That's exactly what they should do. That was a wonderful strategy. And in fact, Taiwan should do this too, because if anyone knows how to fight China and is an expert in fighting China, it's the Vietnamese. And so then they should just be taking as many Vietnamese people as they can, but they haven't quite realized that yet. Anyway, but then Japanese people were complaining to me like, oh no, the Vietnamese people are eating the doves. It's like, what? They're like, oh yeah, the Vietnamese people are capturing and eating the doves. We really like these doves. There's these doves called hato. They're pigeons. Mm-hmm. They just like, I mean, a pigeon and dove are not really that different of a thing. Anyway, so then the hato, they just flock in like town squares and streets and stuff. And they're like, oh, it's cute. It's like traditional nature of Japan. And the Vietnamese people are like, free lunch. And then give me that. It's a bird. Were you using that? And then, I'll like, and so then they grab the bird and just fry it up. And Japanese people are like, how did you eat the dove? This is the big immigration problem in Japan. But we laugh at this, and it's going to be a problem.
Well, so I get why it's the right strategy for Japan to get the best people from Vietnam. I guess, have we done a good job of quantifying the impact of what it means for Vietnam, or for the country that's getting brain drained, basically? Or obviously immigration is great for the country that's getting all the talented people. What about for the country for whom they're losing the talent?
Well,
who they train?
Japan isn't getting Vietnam's talented people. Those are going to America. or France or Canada, right? Like Lon's parents, our friend Lon. Yeah, her parents, they weren't war refugees. They just came because they were like smart.
Yeah. So what happens to Vietnam when they lose their best people, or the countries who lose their most talented people?
Well, Vietnam will be fine. I mean, like, no, honestly, they'll be fine. They just need to improve like college education, because Vietnam will be more like India, where a lot of people, some people leave, some smart people leave, and then the other smart people sort of train up to replace them. And they, there was a lot of smart people in Vietnam just being like, just like working in a restaurant or just doing some pointless thing. They completely underuse all their talent. They've got enough smart people because they're kind of big. Vietnam's got, what's Vietnam's population, like 110 million or something? 120? Oh, it's just 98, but like, that's big enough where the amount of immigrants going to Japan is like, I don't know, 100,000, 150,000 a year. That's like not that much. Right. And actually the people who go to Japan are working class anyway. And there's a few smart people going to America, but overall that'll be good. The countries where you have to worry about brain drain more are small countries. Of course, low fertility means you have to worry about brain drain more too. And Vietnam's fertility is now low recently, just like everybody else. But so that is a worry. But then but they're not very small. And so small countries like Estonia, if like there's like 5 people in Estonia, if like the 3 smart people in Estonia go abroad, you're screwed. And so small countries have to worry about brain drain. Or like Jamaica, it's pretty small. So if all the smart Jamaicans go to America, and go to New York and do a bunch of finance businesses, then which they do, then or like Haiti, right? Like the business school I used to work had like these Haitian hedge fund guys who give us a bunch of money. And then, I'd like go to like these parties with these extremely fancy Haitians. And then I accidentally destroyed the dress of a Haitian woman. She was like, "Oh, check this dress out. You like this?" And I was like, "Oh, whoa, I found an extra thread, pulled it, complete hole." And she's just like, "Oh, I'll just buy a new dress. Who cares?"
What does the future hold for business? Ask 9 experts and you'll get 10 answers. It's a bull market. It's a bear market. Rates will rise or fall. Can someone invent a crystal ball? Until then, over 41,000 businesses have future-proofed their business with NetSuite by Oracle, the #1 cloud ERP, bringing accounting, financial management, inventory, HR into one fluid platform. With one unified business management suite, there's one source of truth, giving you the visibility and control you need to make quick decisions. With real-time insights and forecasting, you're peering into the future with actionable data. When you're closing the books in days and not weeks, you're spending less time looking backwards and more time on what's next. If I had needed this product, it's what I'd use. Whether your company is earning millions or even hundreds of millions, NetSuite helps you respond to immediate challenges and seize your biggest opportunities. Speaking of opportunity, download the CFO's Guide to AI and Machine Learning at netsuite.com/102. The guide is free to you at netsuite.com/102. netsuite.com/102. Let's talk about supply and demand. The supply, your personal data, which is being bought and sold every day entirely without your knowledge. The demand, thousands of data brokers who are making a fortune trading your private information. This isn't just a rant about spam in your inbox. Data breaches enable identity theft and loss of control over your digital data. But what if you could opt out of this whole system? That's exactly what Incogni does. They handle everything automatically, finding the data brokers who have your information, sending removal requests, and dealing with any pushback. No phone calls, no emails, no hassle on your end. What makes this service really powerful is that it never stops working. Incogni continuously monitors your data, showing up in new places, and automatically sends removal requests. Because in today's world, your personal information keeps getting repackaged and resold unless you actively stop it. They'll even handle any pushback from data brokers who don't want to delete your data. Want to extend that peace of mind to your loved ones? Incogni's Family and Friends plan lets you protect up to 4 additional people under one subscription. Take control of your digital privacy today. Visit incogni.com/econ102 and try it risk-free with their 30-day money-back guarantee. Take your personal data back with Incogni. Use code econ102 at the link below and get 60% off an annual plan. Again, that's incogni.com/econ102.
Econ 102 is a podcast from Turpentine, the network behind Moment of Zen, In the Arena, The Cognitive Revolution, and more. If you like what you hear, subscribe and leave us a review in the App Store. You can keep up with both of our Substacks for written analysis of the topics we cover in the show at noahopinion.substack.com and eriktorenberg.substack.com. Thanks for listening.